I was this weird kid, and I'd be typing all afternoon, typing out joke books and little funny stories and things. But I don't really know why I enjoyed it so much. I have no idea. My mother would stand outside my bedroom door and she'd say, "What's wrong with you? Stop typing. Go outside and play." I'd say, "It's boring out there. Boring. Type, type, type." I was a very shy kid and very fearful kid, a lot of afraid of a lot of things. And I think maybe that's why I enjoyed writing so much. But I really couldn't explain why. I've been doing it since I was 9. In college, I was editor of the humor magazine. In those days, every college had a humor magazine, and I was editor of it for 3 years. That's all I did. I just did that magazine, and it actually paid my way to New York from Ohio. I, in those days, I thought if you wanted to be a writer, you had to live in New York. I didn't know you had a choice. I've written about 40 joke books for kids. I
Yeah,
did a humor magazine called Bananas for 10 years. I never planned to be scary. It's embarrassing. It wasn't even my idea to be scary. I just
right.
wanted to be funny. That's all I cared about. And I thought when I had my own humor magazine, that was like my life's dream. When that ended, I figured I would just coast the rest of my life. They're all an accident, I think.
Mm.
I just, always would say yes. And I think I don't really give much advice to people, but I always say, just say yes to things because you don't know where they're going to lead. This woman, Jean Fywell, who was publisher at Scholastic and a friend. And one day she arrived at lunch and she was angry. She had had a fight with a guy who wrote teen horror. Go home and write a book called Blind Date. She gave me the title and everything. I didn't know what she was talking. What's a teen horror novel? I had no idea. But of course, I said, "Yeah, okay, Gene." No, I just always said yes to everything. And I went running to the bookstore to see what people, Lois Duncan and all these people, Christopher Pike, what they were doing, what a teen horror novel was. And then I wrote Blind Date. It came out. What happened was Blind Date was the #1 bestseller. Had never been never been on that list before. And a year later, I wrote one called Twisted, #1 bestseller. I thought, forget the funny stuff. But Sandy, there's a real close connection between humor and horror. People have the same visceral reaction to it, really. I just think they're very closely tied. I always think horror is funny. Horror makes me laugh. But also, I always say when you go up behind somebody and you go, boo, what's the first thing they do? They gasp, right? And then they laugh. I mean, the reaction is just very close. So I think it was kind of easy for me to switch over because one thing I put, there's a lot of humor in the scary books I do, especially in Goosebumps, because I don't want them to be too scary for kids. If it gets too intense, I throw in something funny. We don't really want to terrify them. This is the only advice I ever give all these young writers who want advice. I always think, people who really want to write don't need advice. They don't need somebody telling them read a lot and write every day. They're already doing that, right? I think they're like me. They're like, they know that's what they want to do. I just, always would say yes.